This is Shane Watson here for PSP Sports. I'm lucky enough to be joined by Joseph Parker's trainer, Kevin Barry. How are you, Kevin? I'm
pretty good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Welcome to the UK.
Thank you.
Hope you feel like a warm welcome in the UK. You like
mate, I love coming to the UK. You know, I enjoyed it a little bit more in the summertime, but hey, it is what it is. I love the people here. I love the feel about the place.
We've got a lovely view here as well.
We've got, hey, this hotel here, the Park Plaza, is a good one.
Yeah. You know. So tomorrow we have the press conference for Parker against Joshua. Unification fight, massive fight for New Zealand and the UK, of course.
I think it's a big fight for the boxing world. It's a fight that the heavyweight division really needs at the moment.
No, of course, 100%. I mean, everyone wants to see the best fight the best. You've got two undefeated hungry fighters, still relatively young as well. I mean, what does this fight mean to your team and to Joseph Parker to come over here to the UK?
Well, this is obviously, it's a career-defining fight to date for Joe. I believe that Anthony had a career-defining fight in his performance against Klitschko. I don't believe we've had one yet. You know, this is a fight that we have known about for a long time. You know, we have. This hasn't just happened by surprise. We've been looking at Anthony Joshua for the last 3 years, and I'm sure the Joshua camp have been looking at Joseph Parker. So, you know, every time he fights, we sit down and watch his fights. Joe and I are always planning, oh, this would work on him, see what he does good, see what he does bad. You know, we've got a playbook of combinations and weaknesses and strengths that we've had for 3 years on Anthony Joshua. This is a fight we always knew one day, providing both guys stayed undefeated, both guys stayed on a path, that they'd share a ring together. And here we are, March 31.
Eddie Hearn mentioned recently that Parker's looked poor for his last 4 fights, he believes. He thinks he looks bad against Condrano, HUGHIE Fury and Andy Ruiz. That's the last reaction I remember him recording to say. What's your thoughts on him saying that?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's pretty it's pretty amusing to say somebody looks bad when they fight an undefeated 29-0 Andy Ruiz and another undefeated fighter in HUGHIE Fury that nobody else wants to fight, that we always knew was going to be an awkward fight. Sure, did Joe look at his best? Was he able to get his combinations going? No. But, you know, he's still the youngest guy in the world top 10. He's still undefeated. He's still the WBO world heavyweight champion. Pretty hard to criticise.
And also, do you believe he deserves more credit for coming to the UK to fight HUGHIE Fury rather than fighting in New Zealand? Well,
you know, obviously it was a much bigger challenge for us coming to Manchester and fighting HUGHIE there, rather than having the hometown support in Auckland that we were initially looking forward to. I think the time that we spent here, the 2 weeks in the preparation for the Fury fight, will help us a lot in the build-up to the Joshua fight.
And also with the Fury situation and Tyson Fury, what's your views on him coming back into the sport?
I think it's fantastic. You know, like, I'm a big Tyson Fury fan. He's been a great supporter of our team, and we have a lot to thank him for, because Joe would never have won the WBO world title. It would never have been made vacant if Tyson hadn't given the belt up. So, you know, we wish him well. We're looking forward to having him back. I think he's one of the real characters and personalities in the world of heavyweight boxing, and I think the heavyweight division needs him back. So we're excited, and we wish him all the very best.
How do you rate Tyson Fury's victory over Klitschko compared to Joshua's victory over Klitschko?
Oh, I think, you know, Tyson's victory was far more convincing, and, like, you know, Tyson came out of that fight and never had a mark on him. You know, I think he made Klitschko look really bad in that fight. Klitschko looked every bit of his age in the fight against Fury, whereas Klitschko probably had one of his greatest fights against Joshua. So, to answer your question, I think, you know, Fury's performance was far more convincing.
Do you believe that Tyson Fury's victory was much better because of how good he is, or do you believe that a different Klitschko turned up on a night against Joshua, that's what made Klitschko look a lot better, or is that because of Joshua's style?
No, it's a style. Styles make fights, and I just think Tyson's style was just very difficult for Klitschko. And Tyson really did a mental job on him as well. He got inside his head, and on the night, Vlad just couldn't pull the trigger.
And Joseph Parker, I mean, how long has he been in camp for? Has he been training for a while?
You know, we've done a little bit of training in New Zealand. Like, our camp for this fight really starts on Wednesday when we get back to Las Vegas. The thing about Joe's a very full-on trainer. He gets in shape very quickly. When it's time to train, he trains, and when it's time to have time off, he loves his time off. You know, he's a people's champion. He's very social. He had a good long break in Samoa with his relations, and got into a bit of the Samoan lifestyle over there, and probably put a few pounds on. But we'll knock that off him very quickly.
So, you know, when previously spoken about, Joseph Parker's never been knocked down in sparring, amateur or obviously as a pro, as we would all know. Has he ever been hit by someone like Joshua before? And do you think that Joshua's power is a major concern for Parker at all?
No, I just think, well, we won't know until he actually hits Joe, will we? If it's a major concern or not. You know, we have a lot of respect for Anthony Joshua. He's a big, strong, powerful guy. You know, I don't think he is as scary as a lot of people portray him to be. I don't see Joshua as a hugely heavy-handed, one-punch knockout guy. He's the sort of guy, he's got to hit you with, you know, 4 or 6 punches to put you on the canvas. You know, Joseph Parker has a number of one-punch knockouts.
And also with Joshua and Parker, I mean, there's continuously been reference about the stamina of Joshua as well. Do you think that's something that Parker can like work towards to maybe get Joshua out of there? So maybe like grind him down after like 6 or 7.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. All I can tell you is this. You know, I think obviously there is a concern there in the later rounds for Anthony Joshua. You know, he's shown it in recent fights. We also know that you know, Joseph Parker has gone 12 rounds on a number of occasions. He finished the fight against, after chasing Hughie Fury around for 12 rounds, wasn't blowing. You know, he was, his stamina and condition is very good. And it'll be even better in this fight. This will be what we will see on March 31 in Cardiff. We'll see the best Joseph Parker that we've seen.
And also, March 31st, you're walking out in front of, I think, 80,000 people.
Yes.
That's something that's not been done before within your team. How do you think Joseph and obviously yourself as a team will respond to walking out in front of a crowd that's,
you know, I think
maybe probably be booing you guys as well?
You know, I think we're pretty good under pressure. I'll tell you one thing I do know is I've been in this game for a long, long time, and I've never trained a fighter who handles his emotions as good as what Joseph Parker does. And I know conclusively that when he walks out there, when we get to the dressing room the 3 hours before the fight, Joe will be dancing and singing like he does before every fight. When we walk into the stadium of 80,000 people, he will have a big smile on his face, and that smile will be there all the way to the ring. And when the bell goes, that's when the action will begin. I have no fear at all of a big crowd or a big fight occasion affecting Joseph Parker or our team.
And also, Joshua recently said he will not shake Joseph Parker's hand. What do you make of that?
Well, mate, I don't make anything of it. You know, he's a grown man. If he wants to shake his hand, he shakes his hand. If he doesn't, I'm not going to tell him to shake his hand.
Do you think he's got under his skin maybe a little bit?
No, well, I think that's a question to ask Anthony Joshua, and not me. You know, I think there's, you know, obviously, what I do know is that we are entering into a world unification fight. In an occasion like this, members of both teams say and do a lot of things to try and get under the skin of the other fighter and the other fighters' teams, trying to get an emotional response. This is just part of boxing. None of this is personal. This has just been part of the promotion of the event. You know, what I worry about is things inside the ring, not outside the ring.
Thank you very much for that, Kevin Barry. It was very good to catch up with you. We'll probably see you again tomorrow, actually. Anyway,
okay.
So take care and have a good evening.
All right, cheers. Thanks.